Hey guys, Trinity here. How are you today? So, today's video I thought I would make about how I went on my spiritual journey. So, it was a little bit interesting. I used to like to go to get my tarot cards read. And from the time I was 16, I was really addicted to magic and candles and books and spells and crystals, you name it. I wanted it. So I went and I got those little things, and the more I did, the more magical I became and the more connected I became to everything. Always loved nature, always hiked in the woods, always. I'm like crazy about it. I don't know if you'd call me a hippie or what, but anyway, no matter. So did all that kind of stuff, and I was, into getting my cards read, but I was not personally thinking about reading anyone else's or even thinking I was ever going to be able to comprehend the system or what system, I mean. So anyway, long story short, over the years, family had gifted me, like on holiday occasions or whatnot, a couple of universal tarot decks, Rider-Waite, whatever. Took them out with my friends, looked at them, was like, you know what? I don't like these cards very much. These are like really... Because let's face it, guys, I don't care who you are, how long you've been reading. Everybody that looks at the Rider-Waite at first is like, ew. I don't have a Rider-Waite version in my hand right now. I actually have the Druidcraft, which is much more pleasing to look at. Let's face it. But anyway, when I looked at the Rider-Waite, the Universal, I looked at it and I was like, no, this is not for me. I mean, I'll go get my cards read, but even just to play around with my friends, nah, I don't think so. It's not for me. So, like, years go by. Like 10 of them. And I still had those couple of decks. And I was like, you know what? I'm cleaning, I'm doing spring cleaning, and I'm like, gotta weed out some of this crap I don't use. And I see these two Rider-Waite decks, and I'm like, I'm just gonna get rid of them. I'm gonna toss them. I'm gonna give them away. And something was like, no, stop. And I found myself arguing with myself. Actually, I'm saying, what? No, I don't care. I'm not interested in doing this. What am I going to do with it? What am I going to save it for? Long story short, I wound up getting rid of one of the Rider-Waite decks because there was two. And I think I also got rid of the guidebook that came with it. So over the time, I'm going to tarot readers to get my cards done. And as I was going and doing that, they kept saying, you have a gift, you have a gift, you have a gift. And I'm like, no, I don't. No, I don't. I really don't. I don't know what you're talking about. And then I started to remember. So here's what I noticed, guys. In spirituality and magic, you are going to get signs. If you're meant to do this, if you're meant to read tarot cards, if you're meant to use some form of divination, if you're meant to astral project, if you're meant to do healing, Reiki healing, whatever you do in the spiritual community for the spiritual community, okay? If you do that, you were shown something by the universe that made you gravitate in that direction, okay? It was meant to be, so don't ever second guess that. I promise. That's the one thing I wanted to say. But going back to my journey and how I wound up reading tarot. So, anywho, two decks, got rid of one, held on to the other for God knows what reason. And I'm going through my things like 3-4 years ago, and I'm like, you know what? I've been into spirituality for many years, but I kept it around me. But I would like phase out of it for a while because life gets busy. And let's face it, we have jobs, we have families, we have kids, we have things to do. So we do kind of sometimes fade out of it. Even when you are in it, like you feel like you're in it fully, you'll sometimes still phase out of it for a little bit, but that doesn't mean that you're not spiritual anymore. It just means that you kind of had to take a break, and that's fine. And everybody has to do it, whether it's for medical reasons or whatever. That's your business, and you'll always be spiritual to me. So, and you're going to come back and you're going to do your thing again, and everybody's going to be happy. So, whatever. So, what I'm getting at is, I did not think I was meant to read tarot. I thought just being in spirituality was good enough for me. I didn't need it. Okay, I was happy. So, I kept getting readings and being told, even when I'd go into a metaphysical shop, the mediums or the tarot readers would stop me and say, you know, whatever, you have a gift, you're, you know, intuitive, whatever. So I continued just doing my regular magic and witchery stuff and herbal stuff and what have you, and I wound up just deciding to go get a book on the deck I had already. I said, fine, I'll test it out, even though I have no idea what I'm doing. I go and I get this book, I bring it home, and it's like this freaking thick. And I'm like, no, forget it. Not doing it. Forget it. And I pushed the book aside, and I got curious, and I'm looking at the book, and I'm like, all right, it's a little bit interesting, and, well, that's interesting how that does that, though. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Fine. I'll try and get a more simplified explanation of these cards, because this one is just way the frig too complicated. So I go out, I get a bunch of tarot books, whatever. I bring them all home. I'm looking at these books, and I'm going, all right, now these are a little bit easier, and I understand a little bit more. Then the decks came in. So the Rider-Waite was not appealing to me at all. I was like, this isn't working. So then I went and I got my first deck, which was the Green Witch, after the Rider-Waite, that I did not like. I loved the Green Witch. Some people can read with the deck perfect. I love the backs are my friggin' favorite, by the way. I love that deck, but oh my God, if you're a beginner, it's a tough deck. Unless, thank God, now, that's what I was getting back to. The reason the Rider-Waite was saved for me, although I was not appealed by it, or I don't know if I said that right, but it wasn't appealing to me. I said, you know what? I don't know this Green Witch Tarot, so let me lay all the Rider-Waite cards out on the table next to the Green Witch. And I laid them all next to each other. It took a long friggin' time, by the way, but I did it anyway. So I lay them all next to each other, and I'm like, okay, now this makes sense. Now I understand that the Green Witch is a beautiful deck, but I'm not experienced enough yet, and I kind of put that on the shelf. And then I got a more, like, a Rider-Waite themed deck. What did I get? The Witch's Tarot? Yes, by Ellen Dugan. Wow. That blew my mind with tarot. And it's not because I'm not really drawn to, like, digital art, but sometimes they can combine digital and, like, I don't know what you would call it, artsy, magical, whimsical kind of fairy tale stuff, and they can do like a mixer and it looks great, okay? But other times it's too digital, like photo kind of, and it bothers me. So anyway, there's certain decks that I just, right when I got the Witch's Tarot, I worked with that mother for months and months and months, and then I started going crazy and doing what everybody does, and I'm not going to lie, I did the, okay, I need that perfect deck, and I don't think I've gotten that perfect deck yet, and I'm working with all these decks, and I overwhelmed myself. And I went a little crazy, and I bought a lot of tarot decks. I do not have a lot of Oracle decks, and I did not do a video on Oracle because of that. I would be embarrassed. I have like a couple that I'm willing to get rid of, and then I have like 3 that I love and work with, and that's it. I'm not going to lie. Except, unless you include the Doreen Virtue Fairy Tarot and the Angel Tarot, some people consider those oracles. I think it's kind of like a tarot oracle hybrid. I know I've said that before in my other videos, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, I got thrown into this journey because of fate. So I was not interested. Not interested at all. I just liked my witchy, herby, happy, live in love and light and happiness and prosperity and all those things. And I was perfectly happy like that. But after I started to understand the tarot and fall in love with it, I started to appreciate every time I would get a new deck, the artwork of this artist and what they put into it and how many hours or how many years maybe. And even if I didn't like it, even if I truly just didn't connect with it, that's okay. I still appreciated it because that's what you should do. These are works of art. I mean, people, they're very passionate when they make tarot decks, and they're, I try really hard not to trash tarot decks. It's just not fair. I mean, if you don't connect with it, that's okay, but don't, try not to bash them because it hurts feelings, and you never know if that creator or that artist is going to watch your video. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's just my feelings. Don't take that personal. Anybody, please. But anyway, I kind of started to read for friends. And I had one friend in particular, she would just bring me her friends, and I'm like, I'm still reading out of the book. Don't do this to me. I can't do this. And she's like, no, you can do it. I have faith in you. So I kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it. I had so much practice, it wasn't even funny. She made me do it on her a lot. But anyway, I learned by repetition. I learned by spreading the decks out. I did not have a teacher. I did take some courses online, and that's something I would recommend to those of you who are just starting out. Courses help tremendously. I mean, I taught myself a lot, but I did courses. I did do courses because it's very important to get a handle on what you're going to be doing and take it seriously, because when you're trying to heal people and do good in the world, you really want to take it seriously. You don't want to half-ass it, because you're dealing with people's feelings and emotions and beliefs, and they come to you as a spiritual counselor, almost like they would go to a psychiatrist. That's how I look at it. A psychiatrist, I don't want to get into that because I don't want anybody to get offended. I'm just saying, like, it's a similar practice. You're not solving people's problems when you read tarot for them, but you're giving them a little bit of hope, and that's important to me. You're always going to have bad things happen in your life. Everybody knows that. We all go through it. And some people, it seems like they get hit harder than others, and they're good people. And they just need some guidance. They just need some flourishing, some like help, somebody to give them hope. And I'm all about that. I'm all about that. It gives me great pleasure when I do a reading for somebody and I see them when they walk in the door, they're like shaking and like sometimes miserable or really worried, scared. And I remember having that feeling when I used to go get my cards read, and they come through the door, and when they walk out the door, they're smiling, they're giving me a hug, and their heart is settled. And I yearn to see that in the eyes of my customers or my friends or my family. There's nothing more that makes you feel more love inside than that, to know that you helped somebody and you made them feel better by explaining some things that maybe they already knew but they weren't ready to accept, or maybe things that they needed to know and they weren't aware of. They just weren't seeing them. But anyway, I'm glad that I wound up on the tarot and the spiritual journey because it's taught me a lot in life. It's taught me a lot, and I know there are those of you out there, and I'm not trying to be confrontational or anything like that. I'm all love and light, trust me. I'm just saying there's people out there in the world that believe that this kind of practice is not a good thing. I mean, they believe that it's a very evil thing, or if, sometimes the media or the newer movies, or they make it seem like it's a cult type of thing, or it's a this type of thing, or it's a that type of thing. It's what you see, or let's see, what those people see, people that feel that way, that they feel that they have a very, I don't know if I should say that because that might sound inappropriate. They just have a very narrow grasp of what we're really about. And they don't understand. And that's okay, because you know what? They don't know. The spiritual community is about love and light and giving and helping and doing for others. And that's what we're really about. So you would get the exact opposite of what you think that spirituality is, what you think it's represented by. You would get flows of lots and lots of love sent your way and healing from us. That's just me. Okay, I don't want to speak for everybody, but anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't want to sound political or anything. This was a journey of tarot. So how I got into my journey, like I said, is getting gifted a deck, a couple of decks, not using them, and then eventually using them and becoming very familiar with the Rider-Waite system. I did not become familiar with other systems, just this one. So like some of the newer decks I got, if they have a different system, it's taken me a little longer to get adjusted. I try to just use my intuition, but I will go through the guidebook and see if it's worth reading and if there's anything in there that's going to help understand the cards themselves more. But another thing I found with tarot is that tarot is a system and there's different systems, right? But to me, like when I get a deck of tarot, this is a family to me. This, what you see right here, this is a family. This is one family that I know. Then each of my other decks are their own individual families, right? So I appreciate them that way. If I get a deck and I open it and I don't like it, I just say, okay, it's just not for me. And I'll trade it or gift it away or whatever. And that's okay. And it's still beautiful. I still look at it as that was a beautiful deck. It just didn't fit me. We didn't fit. But this is probably one of the most loved decks out there right now, the Druidcraft Tarot. I cropped this deck because I couldn't take the borders. But I didn't want to take the bottoms off, even though I know what the cards are. I don't know, something about not seeing the words or something that bothers me. But anyway, guys, just saying, if you decide to take the journey into spirituality, good luck with it. It's lots of fun. It's helping people, and it feels very good to do good in the community and to help others. And that's all that I'm about. I think that's all that a lot of us are about. So good luck. And maybe comment below, guys, and let me know if you like this video. I'm sorry if I hope I didn't offend anybody in the video, because I wasn't trying to. If I talk about certain things, I'm just being me, but I'm not trying to offend. So don't take it personal, okay? All right, guys. Have a good day. It was great talking to you. Let me know what you think. And if you like and subscribe. All right, bye, guys.